big question, of course, is, does that mean the far right is on the rise in Germany again?
Yes.
Well, it is in those two states that went to the polls. They are in the former East, and they also saw a lot of disappointment and disgruntlement with the established kind of Big Ten parties here in Germany.
Now, the right-wing AFD party has won an important election, a state election in Germany, the first win for a far-right party in Germany since the end of World War II. The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said the party was ruining Germany following that victory. We can talk to Michaela Kuefner, who's chief political editor for Deutsche Welle. Hello to you, Michaela.
Hi there.
Can you just explain, welcome, could you explain to us, Michaela, why this happened? We know, I think, that immigration, asylum had a big part to play and general disgruntlement. How would you analyse it?
Yes, these are very particular elections that just took place here in Germany, but they have a huge psychological and political impact. Two eastern states, Thuringia and Saxony, went to the polls at the weekend. In fact, incidentally, on Sunday, that was 85 years to the day when Nazi Germany attacked Poland, sparking the Second World War. So it was quite a historic day anyway. And the far-right AFD won the state of Thuringia with a candidate, a top candidate, Björn Höcke, who can legally be referred to as a fascist. And that really is breaking a political taboo here in Germany. That is something that is unheard of and that has sparked a lot of domestic soul-searching. For people looking from the outside at Germany, the big question, of course, is, does that mean the far right is on the rise in Germany again?
Yes.
Well, it is in those two states that went to the polls. They are in the former East, and they also saw a lot of disappointment and disgruntlement with the established kind of Big Ten parties here in Germany. They come from a communist path, and that's also part of the reason, clearly, why a new kid on the block, the Bündnis Sarah Wagenknecht, which basically is a mix of, it's splintered off the left, but it has kind of a right-leaning migration policies. So it's a mix of both policies, and that also proved a big winner in those two eastern states. There, the far-right AFD got above 30% in the polls. For comparison, nationwide, they poll around 16, 17% tops at the moment. So it doesn't tell us so much about the overall rise of the right, but the first time that the AFD managed to actually come on top in regional elections is a historic moment and a reason for reflection here in Germany. And that campaign was fought a lot, but not completely, on the issue of migration.
Right. So the far right party, the AFD, did very well. The far left party did very well indeed. This in the middle, well, considerably less well. And now some are saying, and you've invoked the memory of the Nazi Party in Germany a moment ago. Some are saying it's the first hard right success since World War II and the downfall of the Nazis. It is a chilling comparison, Michaela. Is that a justified comparison, just to mention the Nazis and the AFD in the same breath?
That's an open question that is sparking a lot of debate, and the AFD sees itself put in the corner and says it's being treated unfairly and that it should have a claim to actually forming and being the one who's conducting the talks for forming a coalition, but the other parties do not want to work with them. I want to stay with the specific example of Björn Höcke. He's a former history teacher, and he has several times over used a parole that was used by the Nazi SS forces, which is, and I quote, "everything for Germany." Sounds harmless enough. That's what the AFD party says it is, that it is just 3 words, but there is a very specific historical context that points towards basically having the same parole as the Nazis themselves. Now, he claimed in front of a court that he had no idea that that was the meaning of it, but he's a history teacher.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that the AFD is hugely popular and now came on top in Thuringia, Björn Höcke himself twice didn't manage to actually come on top in his own constituency where he lives. He switched constituency, and this constituent also saw him lose against the Conservative candidate there. So people, when he's close to home, he doesn't have the kind of traction than when he's this abstract political figure.
Is it possible to know, Michaela, how far this may be using the AFD, the voters using the AFD as a kind of vehicle for protest, and how far this may be a harbinger of a similar kind of breakthrough for the far right when it comes to the federal elections?
Well, that is unlikely. The two states that went to the polls make up about 7% of the German population. What is true and what is a real indicator that the right could still get stronger is the level of unhappiness of the German public with the current government, particularly Olaf Scholz himself, is seeing unheard of low approval ratings. That doesn't automatically mean that the far-right AFD will benefit. What has happened, and it's a singular incident, but it's had such a huge impact on the debate here in Germany, is that there were two terrorist attacks, two stabbings. One of them clearly a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
One by by an Afghan national and a rejected asylum claimant. The second one, just a week ahead of these regional polls, by a rejected asylum claimant from Syria who should have no longer been in the country. No, this is not heard of in Britain. You know what scenes you had on the streets.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is something that has seen politicians here launch a real bidding contest, also the coalition within itself, on who can be toughest on migration. And then all of a sudden, the government not just tightened asylum laws within the space of a couple of days, but also organized a flight to Afghanistan,
Right.
deporting criminals of Afghan nationality. So what the attempt here clearly is that parties of the center are trying to demonstrate that they are tough on migration, to take the wind out of the sails of the far-right AFD, which was on its way into political oblivion in 2015, when that open arms policy of Angela Merkel came and the so-called migration crisis here in Europe, and more than 1 million Syrians came to Germany.
Yes.
And that was the political ticket for the rise of the far-right AFD.
All right, Michaela Kuefner from Deutsche Welle. Thank you so much for coming on, Michaela.
Wir brauchen keine Gegendemonstrationen, die wir gerade gehört haben. Die den Ostdeutschen einschicken, wo jeder Einzelne so viel Mut aufbringen muss, gegen Bürgermeister, die der AfD angehören. Und teilweise deswegen sind wir hier. Wir willkommen auf der Bühne, Liz Merkel! Hallo Berlin! Es ist ein großartiges Gefühl, dass dieses Land ein Land der Chancen, der Möglichkeit, der Vielfalt Demonstration, weil es nicht darum geht, hier jedwedes Menschenleben zu silenzen. Weder palästinensisches, noch jüdisches, noch kurdisches,